So, I mean, this is the construction, the Titanic construction that should reduce the microbes in my body. Let's see if it works. It's kind of like I want to work with like higher pressure, so I created hole here for the roads, and inside we have the metal, the Titanic container. And my plan is that I mean to run it like that for a while. Let pressure like get a little like increase, but not by much. But then after that, maybe like in 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I will open it, and then I will change electrolysis to take place in the outer container, like in the plastic container, plastic silver container, with the like a blue with the brown jelly, and I will seal the interior with. I mean, I need to find like the lid, but I have the lid of this metal container, so I need to seal it. So it will be. I mean, so pressure would be presumably much higher, but of course it's still to be actually see if it's if I mean it can actually gather like electricity from like electric energy from the I mean electrolysis that would take place in the outer container. And as I've said, הפה סגור, הפה סגור, הפה סגור. הפה סגור, הפה סגור. As I've said before, this is not entirely like magical like energy transfer. הפה סגור, סגור סגור, הפה סגור, הפה סגור, הפה סגור. As I've said before earlier today, this is not entirely magical. Like according to the previous energy transfer theories that were quite outlandish, because this actually has like a viable, even simple explanation. Simple, but taking into account the fact that the needles inside the container, like the metal one, should create very large chains, and it's still to be seen if it's actually it's sure it's possible. We've seen in the microscopic scale like create pretty long chain, but this will be very like relatively a large chain, and and there's also a question how do we know what it's inside if it's closed? But I guess it will be noticeable when we open it that if how is it not noticeable? The usual effect of electrolysis should not be present, and why should they be present? We don't need like the separation of like H2O to H2O2 or things like that. It's part of the issue, part of the reason for the energy transfer is not to have like all sorts of like redundant like side effects. But of course, the best way is to judge by the results. So we need to actually judge by taking a look under the microscope and see if indeed like more life forms were annihilated, and even though that should be annihilated just by the electrolysis that takes place right now. But we will be smarter when we like run microscopic check and see like what about the neurons? Are they like larger, fatter? And things like that. And next, before I continue, I should also conduct like a ring experiment, but I want first to get like a good amount of like high quality dense neuro juice from this experiment. So we will wait with that. So the next will be this one. It will be based on the blue container, something that is actually very rare in my in my practice. It of course this signifies the earth, like people of the earth, and it will contain like a red like a dome, which signifies like humans. And I don't know if you remember this thing actually, that it's something that I've actually dealt with in the past. And I don't know, my loyal like subscribers and like followers, maybe they know this. This is actually the Venusian tomb, and it's a little bit. The way that they do it there, it's a little bit similar to the tomb of Absalom in Kidron like Valley in Jerusalem. If you know, if you're acquainted with that, so it has like Earth like Terran reference, I would say, traditions. So yes, this kind of like tomb, and also the dead candle is it's free. It's obvious that it's like it's in the Venusian culture or the Titanic culture is related to funerals very heavily. Yeah, you think that they are primitive, but of course that they have like ceremonial burial. And so before I finish this video, I would actually, and also I've received all sorts of stuff from my mother, and I thank her significantly, because I need everything that everything is useful, like containers and like cake or things like that. Everything will be of use. So I mentioned ceremonial burial, and that they, of course, the Venusian have it, and that of course they have like the symbol of the tomb. And I have like a vote on the mind, like Dar Torah, like vote in Yiddish, it's like innovation like in the exegesis, like a pashanut of like the Bible or whatever. And it's like many times kind of in a cynical way, that Hebrew is very cynical, because Jews were always very cynical. So in a cynical way, it's also, when you say that you have a vote, means you have something like new, but kind of like wisecrack, like Jews, like wisecrack thing to say. So anyway, my vote on the matter is that, there's kind of a discrepancy in the way that humans, like Homo sapiens, is imagine other sentient cultures. Other, sentient cultures that they do not know. I'm not speaking about Titans now. Because, or maybe it's also true regarding the Titans, I just don't know. But it's mostly with regards to the imagined societies, like in science fiction and fantasy. Because, on the one hand, it's so common to depict aliens as purely atheists, and that they don't even have the concept of religion, and they entirely against it, and not even against it. They just it's totally alien, foreign to them. They are presumably maybe they have religions in the past, but they are way after that, and it's not relevant for them at all, unless another common case is that this stand in itself becomes the religion, the famous case of the Vulcans in Star Trek. That they have a relatively new religion with regards to how long the species actually existed. So the religion is kind of it's 1,000 years old, which is pretty new, from historical scale, even by human standards. But the religion is in many ways the abolishment of religion, the sacrament of the mind, presumably. So yeah, of course there are counterexamples in the vast ocean of science fiction literature and cinema and television, but it's so common to actually see other cultures or other civilizations as something that is completely opposed to religion, and to identify religion with things that are purely human, and even perhaps embarrassing, that they belong to specifically. It's embarrassing habit of humanity, and of course that if we, as humans will, presumably will encounter aliens, for certain they will not have this concept, because it's so unique, but not in a good way. Because humans also, think of tons of that stuff that are, for some reason, it's unique to them, which is completely not the case. And why should it? It doesn't even make sense. But it is not. In that case, it's not something that is good. Yes, it's also, they think of it as something unique to them, but not uniquely good, but embarrassingly and unique. So this is, on the one hand, but on the other hand, as you know, Homo sapiens were not the only humans that existed on the face of the earth. There were actually many types of humans, including many types that you yourself, with your own categorization, that actually we don't need to take for granted, because categorization change all the time. No categorization is sacred, but according to your current categorization, there were many species with the name Homo, that belong to the same family of I would say, I don't know if it's correct term, species or races in a general sense. And even at one point, I think it was something like 300,000 years ago or something like that, there were actually at least 7 like different species of humans that coexisted on Earth. Like, I mean, Homo sapiens and of course the Neanderthals, which were very, very important, and like actually eventually they kind of like intermingled with humans. But I mean, but in addition, also 5 other races, and you know, and like the issue of the Neanderthal is so interesting in this from this aspect, because you know that, I mean, there was a major change like in attitude, like scientific attitude towards, like, I mean, how you conceptualize the Neanderthals. I mean, since like, I mean, like originally, like by the beginning of 20th century, they were pictured like totally like animal-like, and like almost monkeys, and big and like very violent, and this completely changed. And I mean, it was already starting to change like during the 1920s, but I mean, the concept was so imbued in people's mind that it stayed actually until this day. But actually, I mean, this is completely wrong, and I mean, and like today, I mean, it's so so accepted like that this wasn't the case, that actually many scientists think that that the Neanderthals were actually just like a branch of Homo sapiens, and they should actually change the categorization to Homo sapiens sapiens and Homo sapiens and Neanderthals, because I mean they looked pretty much like humans. I mean, they were a little bit shorter, and yes, they were much stronger, but I mean, not like in a superhuman sense. Like, I mean, there are humans that are today that are stronger than Neanderthals. I mean, the typical Neanderthals. Yeah, they were stronger, but they looked. I mean, they looked like humans. I mean, you couldn't like identify one like in the street. I mean, and also they have like pretty much everything that humans had. And you know what was the last straw? Like, I mean, the last bit of like evidence that I mean, completely broke like the theory of Neanderthal is something that is so different from like Homo sapiens, and that after this one, I mean, like pretty much all scientists accepted that, I mean, there was not like I mean that they are like, I mean, that in essence they were kind of like humans, and that they I mean they were in every major aspect of consciousness. So you know what was the last evidence? Actually, it's not. I think it's not like accepted like as evidence by everyone, but from my perspective, it doesn't matter if it's actually true or not. But what the issue is that what was the evidence that completely wrecked like the entire like conceptualization of like Neanderthal is completely different, like it's something that is essentially different than humans. You know what was the evidence? And again, it doesn't matter if it's actually true, because I mean, if like it's a legit evidence, because I know that there are like, it's still a concept that is in debate, like in the paleontologists like circles. But so it was ceremonial burial. Like, I mean, the burial of the dead, which is always like in the paleontology, like in the study of like the origins of humans, it's always related to religion. So that's why it's so important, because this is kind of like a clear-cut, I mean, like test that. I mean, if you have this technology of like, I mean, ceremonial burial, this also means that you have religion, and which means that you are also like, I mean, and this is the ultimate, presumably in the mind of like scientists, this is the ultimate, like, I mean, actually, I mean, acceptance test of Homo Neanderthals, like to be like equal rights to humans, like to Homo sapiens. I mean, by our conceptualization of their faculties of the mind. And this is not only true to Neanderthals. It is also true to the Cro-Magnon. Like, I mean, to people that were actually, I mean, they are considered like Homo sapiens in essence. It's like, I mean, they are part of the human lineage. I mean, they are ancestors to people that actually live here. This is also true for the Neanderthals, but never mind. Let's not get into genetics too much. But I mean, like ancient, like I mean, like Paleolithic societies of Homo sapienses, many times, I mean, they are like judged to what like level of like I mean, development of the mind they actually achieved by this exact test. Like, did they have like ceremonial burial? because it's so it's such a it's so central in paleontology is something that is like a supreme test for like a creature that I mean if you can find I mean of course I mean if you could have spoken with them I mean you might devise other tests, but I mean you need tests that can be supported by material evidence, and this is not it's not that easy. But I mean, yeah, you can find material evidence of burial, and if it's like you can see that it was actually done like a part of a ceremony, not just I mean, because I mean, between that and just I mean throwing your dead wherever, there is also like intermediate step of burial that is not ceremonial. But I mean, specifically with the ceremony, and the ceremony is evident in the material evidence, you can always deduce that these people actually had religion, and from that you deduce that they were like spiritual, and which means that they were like I mean in the level of like the high level of humans, presumably as opposed to all other living creatures, and not only humans but anything that you can find on the face of the earth. So I mean you get my point already. I'm saying on the one hand I mean when you imagine like I mean society like future like societies of aliens that you didn't met but maybe you will meet in the future, you think of them as like that many times like it's just a matter of fact that they don't have any religion and they mock. I mean it's like something that is don't continuous. I mean it's ridiculous to even think about like aliens and religion together, but at the same time you yourself you evaluate past societies that of creatures that either were your ancestors or I mean shared much of their genetics with your ancestors, and you actually the ultimate test of whether they were like you. I mean, in the fact that like they were like supreme beings that I mean they have like consciousness and mind and not only like I mean instinct like animals. So the supreme test is exactly that, which is ceremonial burial, which is an indication of religion. So I mean, I need to be rescued from the Nazi hell. And this can be only done using like arms and legs, not mouths and tongues. The Israelis cannot change their ways. They are lizard people.